I felt if I lay down, I would choke and die. My anxiety and panic would not let me rest. 3 long years, I walked through the night, counting my steps, heart racing, panic ridden. If those were the days of the smart watches, I would have easily clocked in about 4 to 5,000 steps, 3 to 4 nights a week. 3 long years. My life felt meaningless, stagnant, useless, completely transactional. I was suffering. For 3 long years, well, actually, to be honest, more, I kept wondering what made me feel so anxious, insecure, unsafe, when almost on all fronts, I had a good life. I had a good job, a good husband, a good kid, a good family, good support system, um, good lifestyle, good friends, good network, and yet I walked through the nights endlessly, panic ridden. 3 long years of walking endlessly into the night until one day I walked away. I just left and walked away from everything. Most people could not understand why I had done what I had done. Even I couldn't understand it fully. And yet, in a counterintuitive way, it felt safe. It felt right. That was 13 years ago. Today, I stand in front of you a transformed person, a much more alive, happier person, a living embodiment of personal transformations that come from darkness and struggles. I'm here today to share with you what I have learned during the darkest of my days and nights in hope that you will learn with me. Growing up, I thought I knew what a great life was. Get a good education, get a good job, have a good relationship, get married, have a family, be happy, and I checked on all milestones dot on time. And was I wrong? That was a good life, no doubt. A life without worries and fears, a life of routine, even stability. And yet, I walked through the nights. I had been deceived. Because I will tell you this, good is the enemy of great. A good life is a safe life. A good life is a predictable life. A good life is just that, a good life. When every single living human being on this planet is meant for greatness. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with a good life. Dots always connect. So I realized that I needed that good life. Because you know what doesn't kill us, teaches us. So my good life actually helped me to go from good to great. The signs of my anxiety slowly began to make themselves visible to me. And one of the first things that I remembered that came up to the surface was about my career. It felt empty, meaningless. Selling things to people who could have very well done without. I was in advertising. I felt as if I was taking from life, taking from life, taking from life, and giving back nothing at all. This didn't feel right. There has to be more, is how I felt. And what bothered me most was, what was I doing with this good life, this good living? Was I even living or merely existing and surviving? The second thing that I noticed was with my family. I started to feel detached from them. I started to bicker with them. I started to lash out at them, withdraw from them, and for sure, I started avoiding them. And the third thing that I noticed was with myself. My mind was constantly chattering. I was anxious, irritable, angry with myself, restless, cynical, sarcastic, caustic, hard on myself. I was not happy in this good life that I had. As I walked in the darkness of the nights, I started to reflect. This gift of life that I have, for sure, has a purpose. And the question I started asking was, what am I going to do with it? Survive or thrive? Remain good or move to being great? I chose to embark on a journey of self-discovery. And through that, I have realized that each one of us has an inner compass, which is skewed towards what's known as self-actualization. Self-actualization is equals to us being great. When most of our survival needs are met, every single human being starts to move towards their self-actualization in their own unique ways. I started to work upon myself, develop myself, well, to be honest, save myself. And over the years, I have come to believe a few things. To thrive, to be great, we have to move towards our approach goals. What do I want? Research tells us that there is a very minuscule number of people, about 3 to 6% of the people in the world, who actually achieve their goals. Among other things, they focus on their approach goals. What do I want? What do I want from my career? I want to be educated. I want to be married. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to travel. I want to run a marathon. Approach goals. While the rest of us focus on what is known as avoidance goals. What I don't want. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be ill. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be left alone. Avoidance goals. Move away from the avoidance goals, what I don't want, and move towards your approach goals, what I want. There's a difference. When we focus on what we want, it feels more exciting, motivating, inspirational, hopeful, creative, curious, exploratory, forward-moving, positive. While when we focus on our avoidance goals, what we don't want, it brings about anxiety, worries, fears, the threats that we perceive in our environment. We focus on our weaknesses and our challenges, making us more distrustful, negative. I urge you, I challenge you to repeatedly ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want in my career? What do I want from my education? What do I want from my family? What do I want in my relationships? What do I want in my life? What do I want from my life? How do I go beyond being good? Another thing that I have come to believe is when we ask, we are most certainly given. May not be in the color, shape, dimension, size that we have envisaged it in, and yet the benevolent universe says tathastu, granted. And more importantly, when we ask the right questions, the right answers are given to us. They are scary, most likely, unconventional, perhaps, and yet they take us a step closer towards our self-actualization, to us being great. Also, when we focus on our approach goals, it fuels our right brain, the creative brain, the positive brain, the sage brain, the brain that takes us towards our approach goals, the unique brand of greatness that each one of us have. Now you may wonder, how do I activate my right brain? My brain is always active, right? It's perpetually active. Well, we can learn to do that right here. It's pretty simple. All I want you to do is just sit up a little more comfortably in your seats and keep your hands loosely wherever you want to, and simply breathe with me. That's all. You can close your eyes if you want. Just inhale deeply and exhale slowly, focusing on the breath. That's all that I want you to do. Shall we try it? All right. Take a deep breath in. You can close your eyes. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. One more time. Take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. One last time. Take a deep breath in and exhale. You can open your eyes. How do you feel? A little better? The body feels a little lighter, more comfortable, right? Sensory activations. When we activate our senses deliberately, repeatedly, we activate our right brain, our positive brain, our creative brain, the sage brain, the brain that houses empathy, compassion, affection, understanding, exploration, gratitude, courage, acceptance, resilience, optimism. All the sage qualities that we require to move from survive to thrive, from good to great. All those qualities that we require to bounce back much faster from the setbacks that we have. On that day when I walked away, not knowing where I was headed and to what, I now know that I had embarked on a transformative journey. Intuitively, I embraced education and self discovery. I started to peel the layers that I had literally accumulated around me to keep myself safe inside. And more importantly, my light should not come out for anybody to see. And I remember being very encouraged when I read the story of a monk um, who comes back to his monastery, which is completely destroyed in the war. Everybody has fled, and once the war is over, he comes back to the monastery and he surveys the damage. And to his amazement, he finds that they had a huge stone statue of the Buddha left intact, cracked and peeled, no doubt, but left intact. He comes to the statue, bows his head, says a little prayer, and as he starts to walk away, he feels as if something is glittering from the um, statue. And he thinks his light is, playing tricks on him. And yet, the curiosity gets the better of him, so he comes closer. And as he looks, he feels from several cracks something is shining. Now he's really curious. He says he has to investigate what is this light and where is it coming from. So he picks up a big chunk of rock and he starts to hammer at the statue. He hammers at the statue and hammers at the statue and hammers at the statue. And as he does that, the cracks become wider and wider and the light becomes brighter and brighter and brighter till at the end, a huge chunk of rock just falls away. Lo and behold, hidden right inside this huge stone statue of the Buddha was the solid gold statue of the Buddha. Amazing, isn't it? I too started to chip away, to find my talents, my possibilities, my potential. I started to treat myself with empathy, kindness, affection, care, gentleness. And this involved deep digging, facing myself in all honesty, and more importantly, finding the courage to let my light emerge. Because I believe light can only emerge or enter through the cracks. From survive to thrive, from good to great is a continuous journey. And in this journey of last 14, 15 years that I have undertaken, I have learned a few things. And I share them with you with hope that you will learn with me and take your good life to a great life that you totally deserve. Number one, good is the enemy of great. Good is settling in our comfort zone. It keeps us in our comfort zone with this false sense of security, keeping us in survive mode rather than thrive mode. Number 2, dots always connect. We may not have the wherewithal to see it in that moment, and yet universe has designed our life with a purpose, and the purpose always emerges if we choose to be patient, if we choose to look, and if we choose to trust. Dots always connect. Number 3, the biggest power that every single living human being on this planet has is the power to choose. Number 4, we have no control, none whatsoever, on the consequences of our choices, only our actions. Number 5, kindness to self. Through empathy, affection, gratitude, love, care, understanding. When we see ourselves through those lenses, we move from survive to thrive, from good to great. Happy living to you.